I'm looking for shapes. I'm looking for shapes and textures, and I've come to a small working harbour to find them. My anticipation at this point is that I'm going to be shooting probably more monochrome than colour. Because, well, one, there's not a great deal of colour here, and two, I tend to pull out shapes and textures better in situations like this in mono. Well, I tend to at least. But never say never, eh? So my first image is these position posts here at the end of a slipway, and there's just something about them. It's contrast as much as anything else. And if we kind of look down a little, we've got a selection of them. I'm only really getting this first one here, the kind of double one with the shorter part. Then the next three running around the corner with some of the foreground here, and there's a great deal of texture in it. The key thing with all of this is ensuring that things try and have their own kind of space. So you need space around the edge of the frame. And one of the things that I was finding is that post number 2 there was kind of hiding post number 3. If I kind of move over here, you'll see what I mean. Yeah, they almost become one post there. And the technique is simply just describe the technique of moving to you, but I suppose as much as anything else, don't just raise the camera to your eye and say, oh, that's it. Yeah, have a damn good look. Anyway, simple enough shot. Hope you like it. One of the things that you will find around boats is rope, and rope is one of the most wonderful things that you can photograph. And I've spied just down here, just a wonderful knot in a rope, and it's kind of fluorescing. It's the contrast itself is beautiful. There's almost it's almost exuding its own light. It's a bit like a beech tree in a woodland. You know how that kind of grey gorgeousness happens with it? Well, it's exactly what I'm seeing with this rope down here. And I've got 2 images of it. The first is concentrating entirely on the rope. Really kind of close in. Beautiful textures to it. Lovely light. Monochrome. There's not a lot of colour in it, but it really just screams in mono. But also, I've got a second image which has this motor yacht over there in the background, and I've shot that very deep, kind of f20, f22, something like that, so that the focus is pretty much on everything. Now that's the one I'm not sure is going to work at this stage, because we've got half of the image that's dark, half the image that's light, and obviously you're going to be drawn to the light side of it. But I hope that by kind of pulling it into focus a lot more, I don't think it's going to be sharp. I'm not trying to be sharp. This is handheld. I can't be bothered getting the tripod out. I am being micro lazy. But we know that we're often just drawn to light areas of an image, so this may not work. It may require quite a bit of post-processing. I'm not sure, but I'll have a play, put them up and talk over it, let you know what I've done to it. As I suspected, this image didn't work to start with, but with some playing about, and honestly it's only about 10 minutes of work, mostly using Silver Effects Pro, adjusting the colour sensitivity filters, pulling down some highlights, boosting some shadows, and little bits and bobs. As I say, about 10 minutes of work, and I think it's actually turned into something rather nice. It's still an image of 2 halves. You are still looking at either the left or the right hand side of it. But if you do manage to kind of get that focused middle ground with your eyes, I think it's not so bad. Wonderful speedboat. These things go like stink, and they are absolutely joyous to see. They're really rather rare and very expensive as a result. They're very valuable things. These were developed. It's an albatross, by the way, if you know anything about it. It was developed after the Second World War. They're all aluminium. It doesn't look it, but you know, it's a alley, and they're great. They're developed locally. St Olives, Alton Broad area, but wonderful to see one here. And there's a just beautiful classic line to it. And I've got an image looking down the gunnel here, over the back of the front seat to the wheel and off into the distance. Again, black and white, because whilst it's a beautiful duck egg blue, there's not a lot else colour here either. So I think the mono is really going to work well with it. And I needed to get low for a couple of reasons. Firstly, so I got to kind of look down the sweeping lines of the thing, but also there's this cover tarpaulin down here as well, and I wanted to completely hide that. So yeah, shielding that with a low angle, looking over the backrest, but also being mindful of other things. So very reasonably slim field of view on it, plane of I'm losing my worms, plane of focus on it. But also I spotted this. I've taken a couple of shots and I wasn't careful enough the first time, and second time I was looking, there's this horrible cage here, so I needed that out of the shot. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. What a beautiful thing. So by and large, the kind of things that I've photographed already are the kind of things that most people would walk by. They wouldn't give a second glance to. They probably wouldn't give a first glance to. But when you are looking around with your eyes open, when you're looking around for opportunities for exposures, then that's entirely the wrong thing to say, isn't it? Then you've got to pay attention to so many details. And I've walked past a few things that I know I should have got the camera out for. Yeah, closer back to the car. Again, yeah, kind of ropes on the mud and such. I kind of like the shape of these fishermen's huts back here, but there's maybe, is it called Crofter? Yeah, maybe Crofter and the one next to it are quite interesting. But the issue is, for me at least at this time, is there's too much stuff in front of them. It's complicating a scene. Now, if I could get to a position where it's high enough to kind of look over and have these boats and trailers and whatever more in the foreground, and get the roof line of them, I think that would be interesting. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm not carrying a step ladder or anything with me, or I don't have a drone with me, which probably wouldn't work very well anyway. But yeah, can you imagine that kind of slither letterbox of just the roof line of those over there? And yeah, I think there's a real potential of an image there. I guess this image was taken maybe an hour or so after I recorded that piece, and you can see the weather has changed quite a bit, and I think it's actually added a real sense of depth to this shot. Obviously there's a reasonable amount of post-processing here as well, but one thing you might notice is the noise, the mess on the sky. It's less visible elsewhere, but on the sky you might think that's just muck on my sensor. You know what? It's flies. There were so many of them that came out as soon as it warmed up. You could get your daily protein intake just by walking around with your mouth open. So I've actually walked over here because this is an opportunity that I don't really want to turn up. I think there's too much potential here, and I like these two here. And there's quite a shot, although it's complicated, although there's a lot in the scene, it's not simplified. There's something here looking down this boat hull, this kind of straight down the centre line at these two. But the problem with it for me is that there's on the right hand side of the image, there's this one with the lifebuoy kind of creeping in on it, and it's not giving it enough space. I don't think it's going to stop me finding or creating that image. I think it's still worthwhile. And again, back to black and white, away from the colour ones from the machine back there. Again, black and white's going to work here because it's actually stripping away some of the complexity in the image. And obviously there's not a great deal of colour here at all. Look, it's just a bit of blue, bit of black, bit of green, grey sky. It's nothing to write home about in terms of colour. There's a bit of red over there with a marker as well, fishing marker of some description. But once you take those things away, and I think massively aided by the fact there's no real direct light here, it's just big softbox of a sky. I think this kind of thing works because you're not fighting with highlights. You're not fighting to take those highlights away. You're not fighting to kind of control them. Yeah, everything just kind of sits in its position. And I think there's something there. There has to be an opportunity with the hook, which I'm blocking with my body. Yeah, this hook here. There's got to be something that we can do with that. Probably. I'm only just kind of thinking out loud, but probably a real close up on it, throw the background completely into soft focus, and obviously it on its own, there's not a lot around it, so we can do that, but probably having to use a longer lens in order to achieve that, and maybe stand back a little bit so we get that or emphasize that separation more. But I've waffled enough. Let's see whether we can get an image. Now, I've overexposed that in camera to really just bring up the shadows as much as anything else. I might darken it again a little bit in post, but there's not a lot of detail in the sky. And with black and white, I'm quite happy to have a completely kind of blank, featureless sky anyway. So, what the hell? I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting to do kind of street photography while I'm here. I didn't call it street, but this is just screaming. You've got this fresh fish and shellfish sign over here. Don't know whether you can see it on the screen. You've got fish for sale over it. You've got this whole bunch of tables, and one person sitting there looking on his phone, vaping. Can't ignore things like that, can you? Around the back of some of the huts is often where you find the detritus of boatyards. Boatyards can be notorious for piles of crap like this. Don't know why, but a lot of people that work on boats will turn around and say, "Oh, that'll be useful one day," and it ends up in a pile like this. Anyway, messy as that is, I am drawn to this roofline, and I think that works, but I don't know how yet. It's just that array of colours and textures, or all turning to be tones, because I don't see that as being a colour image. It's a tonal image. And perhaps that's the way of describing one of the reasons for using monochrome in a lot of cases. It's the tonal. It's not a colour image. It's not a black and white image. It's a tonal image. Maybe there's something in that I've only just realised. As a phrase, at least. I can't believe I'm the first person to ever say something as profound as that. So, forgive me if I'm repeating something that's obvious to the rest of you. Back to the shorter lens for this, and I've been up the pile because it's a big pile of rubble, and I think there is a shot there. It might work in colour, because I tried on the phone and got an image on the phone that I kind of liked. Probably won't when I get onto a bigger screen. It's one of those type of images, but we'll give it a go. So there's a couple of considerations. He said falling backwards. There's a couple of considerations while I'm up here. Firstly, this big white bucket grabs the eye awfully. So trying to get above that, so I'm cutting it out. I did start an image with this length of aluminium extrusion down here, kind of using that as a baseline, but again, that wasn't working terribly well for me. So up a little bit further, and then kind of shooting that, and I think it's quite interesting. Let me know what you think. There are so many opportunities for little vignettes here. This looks so messy, as indeed did that roof line, but I think I made something of it. But it does look so messy. But if you get the angle right, if you get the zoom of it right, if you get that crop right, I think there's so much that you can do here. As an example, there's an image here looking down the stern of this rotting timber boat down towards the other boats. They're all kind of higgledy-piggledy just in the background there. Again, black and white because we don't need colour, we're simplifying it. Shallow-ish depth of field. I mean, yeah, I'm quite away from them, so yeah, nothing's going to be absolutely soft, but it's going to be soft enough to really work those into the background. The main image, or the main subject, is this boat, and yeah, because we've got some of the other things around it, should do it like that so you can see my hands. It's giving you a flavour of the environment as well. Not that I think a rotting boat doesn't give you a flavour of the environment, but you kind of know what I mean. And I think there's another similar shot of this from the other side, on the other side of the hull. Being nosy is the key to finding some amazing little compositions. So over here, got this very dilapidated shed, broken window, lovely kind of authenticity to it. What a pompous word. But yeah, it's a broken shed. It's authentically broken. I didn't break it. It was here for the finding. And of course, whenever there's a broken window, you look inside, don't you? It's also worth saying that this is quite a tricky image in that there's a great deal of light and dark. So in order to light the jacket inside a little, I put my portable sun in there. It's not providing a lot of light, but it's just taking a little bit more, and hopefully enough. But I've done some exposure blending shots as well, some bracket shots as well. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use to get this this image to work just yet, but I've got a lot of options. And of course, I'm an absolute sucker for the window itself. I mean, how can you ignore such a wonderfully textured and characterful thing? I love that. There's just so much to look at around here. You could walk past the same things all day and not see all of the opportunities that exist in probably just, yeah, this area here of the fishermen's huts. I've walked around here a few times before, and just not really being able to take advantage of all of the opportunities here. And right now I'm going to continue for a little bit. I've got some friends arriving from the 617 Club. They're probably just parking up now at the top of the harbour. So I will bid you good day and bid them good day, or hello. Is a good day both hello and goodbye? I don't know. Anyway, I'll run you out with some images that you haven't yet seen, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you got something from it, and perhaps consider buying me a coffee, because I haven't had one yet today, and I'm getting a bit parched. Take care. See you soon.
Sunshine creeping through my window as I close my eyes. Fall back into bed, it was a long night, and I can't find a word to say. Emotion running from my tongue like a bird is running from a gun. It was a long